I wouldn't let the circumstances discourage you. People are hiring. News is still going on. You know, that's one thing they need. If anything, people have seen so much how news is important. People wouldn't be getting the information that they have now if it weren't from the media.
Talk about how hungry you have to be in order to really like get that job, land that opportunity. Talk about that.
He's so hungry. One, because this industry is so competitive, and you'll hear that. It may sound like a cliche, but I'm telling you guys, it is so competitive. And you have to think, although I am a firm believer that there's room for everyone in this industry, you just have to remember that even after you land that first role or internship, there is always someone who is going to want to take your place, especially when you're working in a top market or a top company. There's always people looking for opportunities because there's so many people that want to work in entertainment or news, be a reporter, an on-air talent, or work behind the scenes. It's kind of a saturated market, so you just have to keep that in the back of your mind. Once you're in the professional role where you have a full-time position and you gotta pay bills, you're still trying to build your portfolio and work hard, you notice that you have to stay on top of your stuff.
It's who you know and what you know. You know, the higher up you go, people are in those markets that you want to get to. That networking is important. They can help you get to that job. But even if they get you the interview, you still gotta know what you're doing to get the job though. So it's still what you know as well, because you got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to know how to do this job.
So you have to stay on top of your stuff. And that's not to say to put a lot of pressure on yourself and to become overwhelmed, because sometimes that could take the fun out of your role. But you just have to remind yourself of why you wanted to do this in the first place. Why is this your passion? And let your passion fuel your purpose. And your purpose in any company is to work hard and add value.
When you first start off, you have no experience like actually in the field. You haven't been in the industry to know that many people as it is. I think it's just your hard work, what you can bring to the table. You know, I always tell people, make sure you can shoot right at it.
There is always someone who is going to want to take your place. You may not be able to see that person or hear that person, but trust me, they're going to want to take your place.
1 minute you could be on this story and the next minute it's breaking news and you have to switch gears. So you have to be flexible and you also have to be patient. One day here, I just started in Kansas City making a month like this week. One Saturday, I went to 3 breaking news stories and I didn't get home till almost midnight. You got to be flexible and you have to be fast, because even though I got sent a different story, they still wanted something on that first story. The second story, they wanted something. So you got to be quick and you can't lollygag with your time. Like going into work, I know I need to finish this fast, especially on the weekends because there's not that many reporters. I know, like, if stuff hit the fan, I'm going to be going sent to that other story as well, and they still going to want the first story that I was at. So you definitely have to be flexible, because in news, you just don't know. You can bring a story to the table. They don't want it. They want you to do something else. I mean, like, what are you going to do? You going to pout, or are you just going to get it done?
One thing that people need to realize is that your employers are always watching you.
It's who you know and what you know. You know, the higher up you go, people are in those markets that you want to get to. That networking is important. They can help you get to that job. But even if they get you the interview, you still got to know what you're doing to get the job though. So it's still what you know as well, because you got to know what you're doing. You know, you got to know how to do this job.
They're critiquing you. They're thinking about, okay, how's their transition? How is their work ethic? I literally stayed, I worked from 9 to 5 every day. But from that first month specifically, I still do it now, I would stay at work until about 6:30, like an extra hour and a half, sometimes either later than that. Like I would literally be talking to the janitors that they were cleaning and I was still working. And because I put that extra time in when nobody had to ask me to, or nobody was paying me to stay that long, we literally, after that first month of me being there, I was able to increase our page views by 94%. And the general manager from the news station came down and was like, "You're killing it." My manager was like, "You're killing it." Of course, I didn't tell them I was staying after. I just put the work in and it paid off. So don't think that anything that you're doing isn't valuable, if you're putting in that work, you're showing that you're hungry, it's going to pay off and people are going to recognize it.
We are essential workers. We're on the front lines. I mean, we're keeping people in the know for everything that's going on with the pandemic. Before the pandemic, I would go into work, we'd meet in person about our stories, do our pitches, and we would go out in the field and then come back if you needed to work or something. Now that's different. I wake up, our meetings are through Microsoft Teams, which is like Zoom. We're doing the meetings here. I go to the station and they have our keys like outside. Like, you're gonna use this key and it's outside. Like, no coming in really unless you have to use the restroom or something. Get your key, go to the story. So we're working in our cars, and then we, or you can go back to your house and work, and then we go live. So it's like, it's changed because we work from home. Like, we still do news, you know. Before, a lot of our interviews were through Zoom. We weren't really meeting with people in person a lot. Now it's kind of back. You know, we have that broomstick where we could stay 6 feet apart. Some people are only letting you do a Zoom interview with them, but we're still doing news. It's just the way we've done it has changed. Some people behind the scenes, like producers and stuff, they're working from home. Some web people are working from home, so they don't even come into the station at all. But as far as like us, like we're still doing the news. Just the way we're working has changed.
What's your advice for a student that is, you know, they're trying to get a job during the pandemic? They're not really sure if this is a good time to try to work in news because of like the hiring market. What's your advice for a student trying to get a job right now, like a recent graduate?
I'm spiritual, so I believe in God, and I believe that, you know, even though 2020 is crazy, God kept his promises for me. And that's one thing first, is to keep God first if you're a believer. You know about the coronavirus because of the news. You know about what the president is saying because of the news. You know about new research because of the news. You know about elections, how elections have changed because. So news isn't going anywhere. And I mean, they need reporters. So I got a job. Other people I know have gotten jobs during this time. So it's out there. People are hiring. Some companies might not be, but some are. For me, it was a difficult job hunt because, like, not everybody is hiring, and like there's so many people trying to get jobs. So like, it's already hard to get in as it is, but then now you're dealing with the pandemic. I just reached out to news directors. I networked. I mean, I did what I did my part.
Thank you for talking to me today. Do you have anything else that you want to tell anybody watching this? Advice, tips, anything?
I just like people to know that the money when you first start is not good. So if your heart isn't in it, you won't be happy, because some people start off making 25K. That's nothing. That's eating ramen noodles. It gets better. It gets better the higher you go and the longer you're in there. I'm just now getting to a place where I feel like I can live comfortably with what I'm getting paid. But the last 3 years, that wasn't the case. So if your heart's not in it, if you're in it for the money, then you might need to rethink it, because the money ain't gonna be there in the beginning.
You know, everybody has the desire to do something, but you have to be, you know, first you have to be passionate. Then you have to really allow like what your purpose is to drive your passion. Remember why you started this. Remember why you wanted to do this.